Happy International Women's Day, and thank you so much for joining us at the Empowerment Zone. My name is Leah KHALIFEH, and I am the founder of SheFighter. Leah Lizarondo, I'm trying to pronounce your family
Yeah.
name right. It's
Well,
right? Lizarondo.
yeah.
Yeah. She's a friend of mine and founder of Food Rescue Hero and co-founder of 412 Food Rescue. She serves as CEO for both organizations. Leah has won numerous awards for her work, including the Vital Voices Global Leadership Award in 2020 and We Empower UN SDG Challenge in 2019, a global award for women social entrepreneurs. In 2018, she was named Pittsburgher. It's like hamburger, right?
I know.
Pittsburgher of the Year by Pittsburgh City Paper. She's a mother of 3 children and a dog. That's very
Yes,
important.
that's right.
and and taking care of her mother, so she's a superhero. We're going to hear more from her, so please help me welcome Leah. Yeah. Hi, Leah. Thank
Hi.
you so much for joining us all the way from Pittsburgh.
Yes, I am so happy to see you because 1 year ago we were together in person.
Actually, yeah, we were in Washington, D.C.
Together today last
Today.
year we were
Yeah.
together.
Oh,
Yes.
that's amazing. You want to tell the story?
Yeah. So we were getting ready for the Global Leadership Awards, which Lina received a couple of years back before me. And also we were together for the We Empower Awards as well, which is, we've been together for a long time in great
Yeah.
many, situations. But last year we were preparing for that Global Leadership Awards event in Washington, D.C., and we were there with the artist that created the book that accompanied the awards, which is called 100 Women Using Their Power to Empower.
Well, she's
Um,
supposed to join, by the way. Gail,
yeah, Gail
registered,
Baker, and
so she might join
she
soon.
was there with us along with Ezra, and we
Yeah.
just hung out for a whole week,
Yeah,
the week
they
prior.
had, like, you can't believe they had like 100 portraits of women at the Kennedy Center,
It's still
and
there,
it's still there. Nobody,
frozen in time.
but nobody really went there. Is it like who did?
Well, they went during the week we were there, right? It was the opening of the exhibit. And then, the lockdown happened, a few days later after this.
Hmm.
And, because the Kennedy Center has been closed since last year, the exhibit is still there, actually. So,
I can't believe that the exhibit is still
yeah.
there, and like all these portraits, it's so like if you happen to go to Washington D.C. in the future, make sure you visit those the Kennedy Center, the portraits of 100 women, and it's just beautiful. We were there. I mean, we were lucky that it was exactly before the coronavirus lockdown, and then we knew it, so we kind of partied. Or no, that's not true.
We did.
We did a little bit. We did. We went on dinners. We were like, I think,
We had a SheFighter course.
oh yeah, we had the SheFighter course. We were just active before coronavirus.
Oh, definitely. We were in kind of like waiting for what it's going to be about. And, that was really interesting. And then, a few days later, what is today? Today is the 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
eight. Yeah,
I left on the 10th and left the three of you there still, but I
still
went home.
partying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there with Isra. Isra is also one of our friends. She's so funny. She's actually like a stand-up comedian. So she's like hilarious, and she even looks like like these. We have to interview Isra one time. We have
We have
to.
to. You have to like block her face though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she received a lot of awards too, but because she works with LGBTQ in Bahrain in the Middle East, she doesn't show her face at all because her life might be on threat,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
she's living in the United States now. So
Yes. Yeah. So that was a beautiful week and a great way to end, freedom.
I felt when I was heading back to Toronto, I'm like, I saw like if there were only 10 people on that flight, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want. I don't
I
want to
know,
go on that.
your life is about to be ending for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my God, when I arrived Toronto, it was zombie city, dead completely. It's
Yeah,
good that I had an Uber.
you passed by New York City.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
because
while I
I
was there.
extended my stay. I'm like, since the world is gonna be in a bad situation, let me just enjoy another 3 days in New York City.
And it was empty.
Completely empty. That I saw huge rats in the street.
Yeah.
I know it's disgusting, but they were
Yeah.
like having like, oh great, there's not much people, and they were like running around, jumping on the. It's so disgusting, but there were no human beings on the streets, and there's a lot of cafes and restaurants started to stop having people inside, so rats were outside, bunch of rats.
Yeah.
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 But after that, I went to Toronto. So anyway, I love your story about why did you go to the United States, not Canada? Can you tell us more?
What do you mean? Why did I go to the United States,
You
not
know, like
Canada?
the first time you actually went to the United States. Do you remember that story?
Which one?
The
Tell
one
me.
that, you had like your father wanted to go to the
Oh,
United States.
yes. Yeah. So, when I was 16, so I grew up in the Philippines. And, when I was 16, my father had this subscription to National Geographic, and there was this, feature on Manhattan, which is kind of why you went to Manhattan too after, the lockdown, because it's such a great city.
It's a beautiful city.
And so alive, and so, just full of different kinds of people.
Mm.
I remember stepping out of the plane the first time, and it was like the English was not the first language I heard, which was magical to me. And, when I was 16, wanted to be part of that, and just made a decision that, I'm gonna live there. And, a little less than a decade later, I packed up my suitcases and just said, I'm gonna go. And I did, and I never came back.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I wish I can just, have like I love everywhere. Like, so I can't just say I want to stay here forever. I feel like I need to jump to
Yeah,
different.
I didn't get to stay there forever, but it was a great way to spend my 20-year-old self.
That's good.
So, yeah, so that was great. And I'm like you, we both love to travel. We both
Mm.
love to meet people from all over the world. It's just part of us. And, this what has been difficult in this lockdown for me is not necessarily staying home. I feel very lucky that I get to do that, but I miss traveling and meeting strangers.
Yeah, me too. I miss meeting people, just talking to people, or yeah, meeting
Yeah.
strangers. Definitely. And tell me more about how did you come up with the idea of the app, the food rescue app? Because it's
Yeah.
such a brilliant idea.
Yeah. So, Lena and I were at We Empower together. So we rehearsed, all of our pitches, and she heard the story so many times because we told our story to each other so many times. But, the inspiration for that really was, I come from the Philippines, which is, of course, still a developing nation. Lots of, poverty is so endemic, and the difference between those who have and those who have not is pretty stark. And when I think about, the United States or even Canada, any Western country, I think that, oh, wow, it's so, developed there. There can't be, it's not going to be like this there. And then when I immigrated, I realized that, as I saw people, dumpster diving, lines at soup kitchens, I realized that it's not quite so different than where I grew up. And what was different though is that in countries like this, there is so much surplus and waste. And it's not going to the people that need it. It goes to the garbage, which is unheard of. I mean, where I grew up, we ate all parts of the animal, right? It's like it's not something that's you don't waste anything.
Mm.
Um, so knowing that and knowing the numbers behind it, that in the United States we can waste one third up to 40% of our food supply, and then on the other side of that, right now, especially in the pandemic, around 70 million Americans are food insecure. So why are we feeding landfills better than we are feeding people? So Food Rescue Hero is an app that, mobilizes these drivers in the same way that, you get your food delivered in Canada with, these food delivery service apps, and they get surplus food from restaurants and grocery stores, and then they deliver it to NGOs and charities, and using volunteer drivers that are driving on the app.
Mm. Yeah, I find it a brilliant idea, really. So you don't have any presence in Toronto yet, or like in parts of Canada.
Not Toronto, but we are in Vancouver.
Oh, great. Is it
Yeah.
because of Barbara?
Barbara, and no, there's a woman there named Tristan Jagger, who is an amazing
Hmm,
woman who just, wrote me and said, "Hey, I want to start this in Vancouver." And I saw,
amazing.
she's a powerful, really, ambitious woman. And I
Yeah.
said, sure. And she did it. And now she launched in the middle of COVID in July, and now they have over 600 drivers. So
Oh, amazing, amazing. I mean,
amazing.
I noticed that people in Vancouver really wants to help, like even Barbara. Like we met, so Barbara is the founder of Grow
Grow your
Your
biz.
Biz,
Yeah.
which something we both enrolled in, me and Leah. But it's like it's an advisory board in different places in the world. Like in Toronto, they do have an advisory board, and BMO banks support it and sponsor it. In I don't think in Pittsburgh there is one, right? You do
They have a
the virtual
brand. I
one.
forget the BMO brand in the United States.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, they bring all these advisory board like women, and they discuss yeah, different topics in business. So it's they just love to help. I find them really amazing. So the next question would be, why do you think it's important for women to work in general? Like why work is very important to you, Leah?
Why is work very important to me? Well, I think work in general is part of I don't know, it's part of our DNA. Well, I mean, all know people who don't want to work, but I think for women like you, and Lucia, it's like the passion is there, and we're the kind of people who, when we see something that we can do and that we can make a difference in, I don't think any of us can sleep at night, without trying. And so, it's important to, the work is because we are inspired, and almost because we just don't have any choice. Like, when you have talent like the Chia, how can you keep it to yourself? You
Hmm.
can't. You shouldn't. That's selfish, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and if it's SheFighter, like just the way, you started in Jordan, but then there's a way to spread it to the rest of the world in other ways.
Hmm.
And it's not just in the Middle East where women have to learn how to defend themselves. It's everywhere.
Hmm.
And we know that from all the statistics that, from being part of the Vital Voices network, like, we just know that by heart.
Yeah.
So, these things are relevant, and I think we
Hmm.
feel a sense of responsibility
Hmm.
when we see these possibilities.
I think everybody should have like a sense. What I noticed in the lockdown, and I did not do like I stopped working for a while, and it just made me go crazy. I don't think it's about like it's not even about the money. And Canada was giving all these money going to people who's not like who were affected by COVID, like, and they're not working. But even my Turkish friends started saying, I don't care about the $2,000 I get. I don't want them. I want to work. So
Yeah.
work just give you a feeling of like you're alive, you exist, you have a voice, and it's important for women and men.
Yes. Yeah, but I think, I remember this period in your life, but you also did a lot of self-reflection and reading, which, you were teaching me at the time too. And I went through a period of that, and we even shared books between each other as, as we were trying to figure out, what is this lockdown? What is it doing to us? What is it doing to the world? How can I respond better? How can I cope? And I think that moment of, not working and taking time to just reflect and understand yourself and learn how to, face your struggles was a really important time for me. And it still continues to this day. I'm still, in starting from, January or March last year, just in this period of like self reflection and just learning about myself, which
Mm.
I hope that, it's such a privilege to be able to do that in this lockdown, as we have no other options, right? But
Yeah.
it's a really important thing to do.
Mm. What types of like self-reflect? Like, do you do this a routine during the day if you have the time? I know you have like you have the work and you have children and you have. So when you have the time for yourself, what do you usually do?
Yeah. Again, I always say, like, we talked about this. Yeah, it's great to share with everyone else, but,
Yeah.
and I'm lucky to have friends like you to kind of trade ideas with. But, I start my morning pretty the same every single day. I make my coffee, which is, important to me, wakes me up. I wake up at the same time every day. I don't have an alarm clock. I wake up anywhere between 6, a.m., 6:30 a.m. And I sit down on the couch alone, look out the window at the sun if Pittsburgh is sunny that day, because Pittsburgh is not a sunny city. And then read a little bit, but also begin to meditate on the day. And I do one meditation practice in the morning by myself, and just enjoy the quiet. And then I get on with my day. And then at night, I make sure I do one more, meditation. And meditation is such a learning practice. It's hard. There's no perfect time or no perfect, moment of meditation. You get these glimpses of what it means when you're there. So I try to do 2 a day at least. And then at night I do yoga to end the day and stretch out. And then I, focus during the day at work or my children who are in virtual school. But I've done little things too to adjust the day. I barely sit down all day. I've transformed my desk to a standing desk. And then
that's good.
I stand on a balance board all day, which is amazing. It's like, I recommend it for everyone. It's a balance board that, just allows you to make little constant adjustments to yourself that strengthen your muscles, but it's not so much that you're
it's called the Boso ball, which is like
it's not a Boso ball. It's more like a plank that has a little bit of a curve underneath, just a tiny curve, so that you're constantly calibrating yourself so that you're not falling down, but it's not hard. And at the end of the day, I'm actually tired without noticing it. And then I do yoga, and it's just a way to stay fit when you can't really go out much, especially in the winter. I'm hoping that in the spring and summer, I get to walk outside more, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you bring change to your organization first and then to your community? And how do you define change?
Yeah, so everyone was forced to change. When I got back from Washington, D.C., we were all like in this moment of, okay, are we going to send people home? What are the recommendations from the health department? And at that time, it was really kind of vague until, I remember Friday the 13th. It was that Friday where, our governor said, okay, lockdown. And so we didn't even have to answer any questions whether we're going to send people home or not. We just automatically said, okay, everyone go home until further notice. And, 1 year later, we're still working from home. So the change that we've brought to the organization has been, really, how do we work like this? Because we never did. And then, there's some radical trust involved. And how then, so it's really becomes all about, not when or where people are working. It's what you're bringing to the table and what you're delivering. So in that trust, we then worked hard to respond to the enormous need in the community, which, food insecurity everywhere has doubled. And so we worked the hardest that we could, in this past year. And, kudos to my team, because all of us, and everyone listening to this, we know that it took a mental toll on us. It's just, for me, it did at first, because we were so busy, you didn't notice yourself, but in the moments where there's quiet, that's when you realize that, oh my God, there's, I have to take care of myself too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this year has been, at the beginning, I usually resist what's the change. I usually resist it because I'm going on the same, like on a path I feel like I'm totally focused on. And, just having these rules will make you think of like, so what am I going to do next? What should I do? How am I going to adapt? And I took like 2 months to think and reflect about things. But like now back in Jordan, I'm actually helping my father in manufacturing and designing and production, which is something I'm very passionate about, but I did not join a long time ago because I'm just busy with traveling and SheFighter and growing. But then when I went back there, the family business has been around for 40 years. And it's just such a male-dominated industry where it's all machines and men, and like you find just one woman, and usually she's the secretary. But the
Right.
rest, they're all men. It's like 100% men. Their meetings, their board meetings are men. Everybody's is a man there, because women don't like to work in such a field. It's I don't think. Also, I think we need more women in manufacturing, in industries, in design. Like imagine if we have like the CEO of Toyota company is actually a woman, or if you have BMW, like a lot of, or yeah, as Lucia says, in construction as well. It's important to know these practical small details, because if you, let's say, if you have a brand later on you want to produce or manufacture, then you're going to start thinking, like I did, like I learned a lot from the business, and I know that I can bring, let's say, used machines or secondhand machines. Or it's just amazing when you get to the industry, you realize how huge it is globally. And then you notice like why women are in usually services, like why women tend to choose service sectors. So do you know why women get like more comfortable in service sectors, for example?
Yeah, I think so, just to kind of add to your manufacturing, there's one major automaker in the United States, that's actually led by a woman. Her name's Mary Barra, and she heads up, see, she's the CEO of General Motors. So I've always, I have my car right now, but I'm always like, okay, my next car has to be a General Motors car. I don't care because it's led by a woman. It's just so rare. Um, and so I think women excel at industries that require, I'm not saying men don't have empathy, but we do have, just this desire. It's a maternal instinct, in, you might say, or but I also think that the reason why there are few women in, these kind of male dominated industries with technology, for us, there's very few women in there. And construction, I just met this other woman from the last We Empower group, and she is in, soil, is her company is called Soil Cyclers, and she's into construction, and remediating construction sites, and she's the only woman, often, and she's very impressive. Her name's Alison Price, and she's from Australia. But I think women like this are breaking barriers, and she always talks about how, she does have to change some of the things, unfortunately, so that she can talk more effectively and communicate more effectively with the men in terms of how they are used to being communicated. And I hope that there is one day, where even in these industries that are so male dominated, that we can just be, ourselves as women, and not have to, switch to a level that, that we're trying to compensate so that, men can understand us.
Mm. Yeah, 100% for sure. So if a woman wants to start her projects and hesitates or postpone, what advice you give her on risk taking, taking risks in businesses and projects?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I have an imperfect answer to that. So I think that, it depends on, I feel very privileged to be able to just drop everything and just start something, right? Not a lot of women do that. I did do it gradually. I was having, a part-time job while I was trying to do, Food Rescue Hero and 412 Food Rescue. And then at some point, I was able to, just say, okay, I'm going to drop the part-time job and just give myself fully to this. Not everyone has that. But I think what's universal, whether you have that privilege or not, or opportunity, is that you can start small, and you can start with one little thing. Like, you didn't intend to, create an online course for SheFighter right away. I mean, you started with a studio in Jordan that was very local. And then you saw that, that this is something that women need everywhere, and you need a better way, an easier way for women to train and be certified and access it. So then you started this whole new product. And I think that's the way to go, is to like start small, take that small step towards what you want to do. Don't think of your major big change right away, and then slowly work towards the big change. Like for us, we started here in Pittsburgh. We're now in 12 cities, 6 years later. And, we have this kind of really audacious goal to be in 100 cities by, in 9 years, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, especially with COVID in between. But we're all aiming for that. And, it's like 10 cities a year. It doesn't have to be 100 cities right away.
But don't you think that risk taking, like for example, I come from a family that are all entrepreneurs and business
Mm.
owners, and
Yeah.
they don't even believe that you have to go to university. I mean, even if you go to university, after that you have to start your business, and they believe that making money should be starting a business, and that's how they've been doing that for so many years. So I was raised in a family that are like full of
Entrepreneurial.
entrepreneurs. Do you think this helps, like being raised or you grow up in a family that are like both parents are in, let's say, medical, or like, does that affect really children?
Yeah, I don't know the scientific statistics or the,
You don't need to give me
I
statistics. I'm
know,
in Jordan,
but
so don't
I
worry.
think, yeah. So to just for my personal experience, my parents were not entrepreneurs. My father, worked in a corporation. I mean, he was the CEO of the company, but he worked his way from the bottom to the top, just in a very traditional way. I think what is entrepreneurial about him, though, is that he was the first to graduate from college in his family. He's the eldest, and he was very poor, and he just worked really, really hard. And I think it's that work ethic of working really, really hard, because he had a family to support, and he wanted his children to have a different life than he did. That was inspiring to me, and to this day, I tend to push myself, to the brink, which is something that most of my friends tell me to stop doing. But this ethic of hard work is what I inherited from him. And I think that, as entrepreneurs, we all have to have that, because no one else is driving us but ourselves.
Mm, 100%. So what is your values?
My
I feel like I'm having an
Yeah. Oh,
interview.
that's so. My values are, I think, and then this probably evolves through time, but right now, the things that are important to me are, honesty and authenticity. I think that, when we start not being authentic to ourselves and listening to what our gut and our spirit are telling us, then we start getting into trouble. This sense of authenticity and listening to myself is what led me to, really pursue Food Rescue Hero and 412 Food Rescue, because if I didn't, I just wouldn't feel right about it. It's like I would feel like I was ignoring something that was extremely important. um and just and starting relationships on that level is also important, which is why, like, for those who are listening, like, Lena is such a good friend of mine. She knows all of the weird details of my life, even though, like, we don't see each other, but I can tell her anything because she's also like that with me. And she knows me in ways that not my, what I may put out publicly in social media. So I really appreciate that about friendship. I appreciate that on a work level when, we all know we're going through enormous hardship right now. And we all have to be understanding of each other's own challenges. But, there's also work to be done. So to be honest with each other on what our own limitations are right now, and authentic about that is, again, is the beginning of setting a foundation for, understanding why things may not happen or may happen. It's also, it builds upon, what we all say. What's important to me is empathy, is to understand that another person's experience, is not like yours, and not to project anything to that, and just to to take them for themselves. So those currently are such important values to me, and is what's helping me kind of survive this pandemic and all the ups and downs of it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, because I know as an entrepreneur, it's just it's hard to keep the same passion in the business going for many, many, many years. Have you
Yes.
thought of at some point you want to change your whole domain, or you want to completely do something else, or you're done doing what you're doing, you want to go, because I feel like if like what are you doing doesn't really matter, it's who you are in person that will lead to success. So have you thought about that, and is it like around that time of your life? Can you tell us more?
That's so funny. I'm so happy you asked that. Yeah, I mean, I think we go through cycles in our lives. I think also there are people who are, again, because we are so, the word that I like to use is, evanescent. We're so, like to travel, we like to meet strangers, we love change, right? We're very comfortable with change. In fact, we try to make it happen in our lives. So yeah, so there are moments when I feel like, okay, well, have I done everything I could for this work right now? And could it stand on its own? Does it need me? Or, if it doesn't need me, then there's other things to do that I want to do. And that's very true. And I think, parts of 412 Food Rescue can live on its own without me. And Food Rescue Hero is still growing, and there's a lot of time for it to grow still. It's not yet there. So I'm focusing a lot on many of those. But there's also other things I want to do, like just being
Mhm.
exposed to all of the other women we're exposed to through the Vital Voices Network, and learning about climate change. There's a lot about climate change that draws me to it. Like if I want to leave a legacy to this world, or work that makes a difference, I hope I make a difference in this thing, because it affects everyone, and it will
Mm.
affect the most disenfranchised and the poorest, in ways that those who are not poor are not going to get affected. So yeah, so I think, many years from now, I think that is the next thing I would love to do. And I can't wait for the opportunity to do that. I mean, food rescue is already climate work, because food
It
waste is one
is.
of the leading causes of greenhouse gas emissions. But there's also other work, and
There's a lot, yeah.
I'm extremely drawn to that right now.
And so my last question would be, where can people find you?
Yeah, so it's foodrescuehero.org, or on social media at Food Rescue Hero, or my name at Leah Lizarondo.
Great. Happy Women's Day to everybody. But thank you so much, Leah. Thank you, really. We
Thank
are
you,
really
everyone.
happy.
It was
Yeah,
really
girl
fun.
power.
And Lena, I will
Th-
see you when you go back to Toronto.
yeah, they have to open the borders. They have to allow you Americans to come to.
I've known some people who've come, and I don't know how it happens, but it's possible.
I can be friends with the officers on the borders, like I can bring them food, and
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
a friend that is coming. Don't give her a hard time. Her name is Leah. No, thank you everybody for being here today, and really again, thank you, Leah, for everything you shared. Happy International Women's Day, and have an amazing rest of your day. If you're in America and Canada, if you're here, have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.